Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you all are doing well. This is Mohammad Badruddin back again with another video, and today we are going to solve the lab which is CL.0 Request Smuggling. So the first segment is for front-end server and the second segment is for back-end server. So that means the front-end server will interpret content length, but the back-end server will not see the content length, or it will always see the content length as 0. So the lab description is saying this lab is vulnerable to CL.0 request smuggling attack. The backend server ignores the content length header on request to some endpoints. So not all the endpoints, but some endpoints. So we need to find out the exact endpoint where the backend server ignored the content length header, right? Now to solve the lab, we need to identify the vulnerable endpoint and smuggle a request to the backend to access the admin panel at /admin, and then we need to delete the Carlos user. So this lab is based on real world vulnerability discovered by Portswigger research. For more details, if you want to go into more detail, you can go to that link. Fine. So I already open up the lab here. This is our lab and you can see the admin panel is already here. It's visible. So let's just click on it to see what we have here. You can see path /admin is blocked. Fine. So let's just go back, and burp suite is also working. And now what I need is this is the web root request which I need to send to the repeater, and I will send it to the repeater 2 times or twice, because the first request I will use as the attacker or smuggled request, and the second request will be as the normal request. Fine. First thing first, I need to just make sure that the request attribute set to HTTP version 1 for both of these requests. And the second thing is content length, update content length is already checked. Doesn't matter if it's checked, because the front-end server is already interpreting the content length, and we need the content length basically to update automatically, or if you just turn it off, you have to measure the content length and put it in the content length request header. Fine. So this is the first one, which I will say attack request, and sorry, this is gonna be the attack request and this will be the normal one. Fine. So first of all, I would like to go to the attack request, and what I will do, I will change the request method to post, and I need these 3 headers which are important, and make sure keep alive, you also choose keep alive, because the way with which you are going to solve the lab, that needs the attacker request or attack request or a smuggle request to be keep alive. Otherwise it will close the connection on the very first smuggled request, and it will not see maybe the second one, which is the normal request. So I'm just going to delete rest of the headers. Even if you do not delete these rest of the headers, it will also work, but to just keep things clear or clean, I removed unnecessary headers here. Fine. Second thing, I would like to add here the smuggled request, which is going to be the get request, and I would try to access an endpoint which does not exist. So I'm going to say anything, whatever you want, and HTTP/1.1, and then I'm going to put here a fake header, and its value gonna be anything. Okay. So what we need here, if you just turn this feature off, you need to measure the content length. So you need to highlight all of this content, and you can see there are 41 bytes of the data in the body section. Okay, so you need to update it to 41 bytes. Okay, so this is going to be our smuggled request, and this will be our normal request. Now what we need here is to add both of these requests as a grouped request. So I'm going to click on this plus sign, and I'm going to create a tab group where I'm going to add both of these requests, which is attack request and the normal request. Create the group. You can change the name of that group also. And the way I want to send this request, which is going to be in a sequence but within a single connection. So if you already watched my playlist of the race condition, you know this functionality very well and these options also. And if you do not know about that, go to the race condition vulnerability, okay, and there you will know everything about these options. Fine. So within a single request, I want to send both of these requests in a sequence. Now there is a thing how you will know that the endpoint is vulnerable or not. So if I go to the first request, the endpoint I choose here is the web root. So once I send this request or the group of these requests in a sequence within a single connection, and in the normal request, if you see here 200 OK and it gives you the content of the web root, that means the endpoint, this endpoint is not vulnerable. Fine, because as the lab said that not all the endpoints are vulnerable where the backend server ignore the content length header. So we need to identify the endpoint. So one by one, we will check all the endpoints. Like after web root, we may go to check out this static resource or static endpoint. These all are the static endpoints. You can go and check one by one. Fine. So let's go. I'm gonna just send the request. Okay. So this one is okay. This is expected, but the normal request is more important because here you see the result of the smuggled request and how the backend server interpret things. So you can see 200 OK. That means this endpoint slash is not, or the web root endpoint is not vulnerable, because once we send the request, it will send the request to the backend and the backend should interpret this. Okay, where slash anything does not exist. So you should see here in the normal request, you should see here 404 not found. Okay, so let's go back to the proxy and I'm gonna take this static resource. It's always better to use the static resource in certain conditions when you are going to see 0CL or CL0 vulnerability, because through the backend you will get the quick response once you access the static resource. So I'm going to copy this JavaScript file and in the repeater I'm just going to put it here, okay, with slash. Fine, and send the request one more time. 200 OK, and you can see these are the content of the JavaScript file. This is fine. Go to the normal request and here you can see we got 404 not found, and it's saying that slash anything does not exist or not found. So that means this endpoints work perfectly fine. I'm just going to change this one to slash admin. Okay, smuggle the request to go to the slash admin endpoint. Send the request again. Here we see the content of the JavaScript file, which is very normal, but in the normal request, I should see here 200 OK, but because we try to access the slash admin panel, so I need to see something that exists in the slash admin endpoint. So if you scroll down, you can see slash home is there, slash admin panel is there, which is already allowed to see from the very first web root request on the page. But let's see. Okay, so here is the catch. So you can see here, this is the winner user, and to delete the winner user, we have to access this request. And for deleting the Carlos, we need to go to this. So I'm going to take this. That means slash admin panel is now accessible to us via CL.0 HTTP Request Smuggling. So I'm going back to the attack request and I'm just going to paste the complete request here where we try to delete the Carlos user. I'm just going to manage this a bit so that you can see both of the pages at the same time. Okay, send the request. And you can see the lab is solved. Why? Because the endpoint what we provided here in the smuggled request has been accessed and the Carlos user has been deleted. So 302 found. Okay, now if you want to see whether the Carlos user exists or not after deleting it, you can go one step back to just access the /admin panel, try to send the request, go to the normal request and just see the content. So if I go to the Carlos, you can see 0 matches because the Carlos user does not exist. But if you try to see winner user, you can see 2 matches are there, and these are for the winner user. The other section for the Carlos user does not exist here because it's deleted, and we solved the lab. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoy the lab. If you have any query, put your query in the comment section. I will try to respond as soon as possible. See you. Bye.